At the Easter table, Deborah slid a leather folder across the white cloth, stopping short of Kevin's plate.
Kevin, the guardianship petition is ready. We have the signatures.
Kevin opened the folder. The cover read, "Petition for Adult Guardianship, with Mark as proposed guardian." The document alleged Kevin suffered cognitive decline after his stroke, rendering him unable to handle his own affairs.
A minor stroke doesn't make me incompetent. You know this is ridiculous.
Sign now, and this stays civil. Fight it, and the court will see you as combative and paranoid. Your call.
Mark stared at his plate, silent. He wouldn't meet his father's eyes. Dr. Maria set down her fork. A smile tugged at her lips. A soft, knowing laugh escaped her. She shook her head as if at a private joke. The laughter grew, and Deborah's voice cut through. "What exactly is so funny, Maria?" But Maria only laughed harder, dabbing her eye.
I asked you a question, Maria. What is so funny? This isn't a joke.
The joke, Deborah, is that you sat down today thinking you'd ambushed a confused old man?
What does that mean, Maria? What are you implying?
Kevin, should I tell them? Or do you want to?
Tell us what? You're his cardiologist, not a psychiatrist. Your opinion on his mental state is irrelevant.
Irrelevant? I conducted a full neuropsychiatric evaluation on Kevin 8 days ago, at his request. He knew this was coming.
The words dropped like a stone into the still room. Deborah's mouth opened, then closed, her confidence flickering.
You evaluated him? Without our knowledge? That's not admissible.
Dad, you asked for an evaluation? Why didn't you tell us?
Kevin remained still, his hands folded calmly on the table. He'd been waiting for this moment, and now it was here. The ball was no longer in Deborah's court.
I had myself evaluated 8 days ago. I knew this was coming. The moment I recovered, I started preparing.
That's a conflict of interest. Maria is your friend. No court will accept a biased evaluation.
2 independent neurologists signed off. Kevin authorized full disclosure. You can call them yourself. Their numbers are in the report.
Fine. Show us this evaluation then. Let's see how comprehensive it really is.
Not yet. First, I want Mark to explain why he signed. Son, what exactly makes you think I'm unfit?
You've been forgetful, Dad. The stroke changed things. You missed a dose of your heart medication twice last month.
The pharmacy changed my brand without warning. I caught it myself and corrected it. That's in my medical records.
And the wrong turn? You got lost 5 blocks from your own house. That's not dementia?
Kevin didn't flinch. He'd rehearsed this moment a dozen times in his head. He was ready for every accusation they had. The room held its breath. Kevin's calm hands rested on the table, while Mark's knuckles whitened around his fork.
A road crew closed my usual exit that day. I took the next one and circled back, exactly what any competent driver does.
I have a question, too. What about the incident with the checkbook last fall? Mark mentioned it 3 times in his affidavit.
You bounced a check to the gardener. I had to cover it. You said you'd forgotten to transfer funds.
The bank misdirected a transfer. I noticed within hours and fixed it. The gardener was paid in cash within the day. I have the receipts.
Then explain this. We have a signed statement from your neighbor, Mrs. Patterson. She says you've been hostile and irrational with her.
Deborah read aloud. Kevin has become erratic, forgets conversations, and shouted at me for trimming his hedges. He is a danger to himself. Kevin let out a short laugh, not bitter, but genuinely amused. He took the statement from Deborah's hand and scanned it.
Mrs. Patterson has been trying to claim a strip of my backyard for 3 years. I filed a police report when she cut my roses.
I've seen that police report. It's in my records as part of his medical history. Stress related to a property dispute, not cognitive decline.
Deborah's perfectly manicured nails stopped tapping. The neighbor's statement lay on the table between them, suddenly weightless. Kevin leaned back in his chair. One hand rested beside the worn leather folder that had sat beside his plate all evening.
I've known about this ambush for months. I overheard every conversation about the house, the insurance policy, and my supposed decline.
What are you talking about, Dad? We never discussed your insurance.
You were listening to our private conversations? That's an invasion of privacy and completely inadmissible.
When you talk about my house and my death benefits in your kitchen, privacy doesn't enter into it. I'm not deaf and I'm not naive.
Mark dropped his head into his hands. The guilt was written across every line of his body.
But we'll get to all that first. Let's hear the full results of my neuropsychiatric evaluation, Maria.
He nodded toward Maria, who was already reaching for a thick envelope beside her plate.
With pleasure. I have right here the most thorough cognitive assessment I've ever conducted on a patient of any age.
She slid the document free. The room hushed completely. Maria unfolded the report and began reading aloud. Her voice was steady, clinical.
Kevin scored in the top 4% of his age cohort on global cognitive functioning. The composite places him in the superior range. On memory recall, he was at the 98th percentile. Executive function, planning, problem solving, 99th.
Deborah tried to cut in, but Maria raised a hand without looking up. The signatures of 2 independent neurologists were at the bottom.
Dr. Harwood and Dr. Chen both signed off. This is a legally valid neuropsychiatric assessment performed under Kevin's full consent.
She handed the report across the table to Mark. His hands shook as he took it. Mark scanned the pages. The color drained from his face. Every test, every domain, scored at or above the 95th percentile.
Kevin prepared for this. He requested the evaluation the day he heard you discussing his estate at your kitchen table.
Deborah grabbed the report from Mark's hands, her eyes scanning frantically. The evidence was irrefutable. The petition's entire foundation had just been obliterated.
This report is falsified. You two conspired to manufacture a clean bill of mental health.
Call Dr. Harwood and Dr. Chen yourself. Their numbers are on page 3. They'll confirm every result.
I began preparing the day I came home from the hospital. I knew exactly what you were planning. I heard you discuss my house and life insurance as if I were already dead, so I acted.
From his folder, Kevin slid a single page across the white tablecloth. It landed directly in front of Mark.
That is a counter-petition for attempted elder financial coercion. It was filed yesterday morning.
Mark stared at the title. His breathing stopped. The page trembled in his hand. Deborah's jaw worked, but for the first time all evening, no sound escaped her lips. Maria sat back, her expression calm, a quiet smile playing at the corner of her mouth. The silence that filled the room was deeper than before, a vacuum that swallowed every sound. Deborah snatched the counterpetition from Mark's hands. As she read, the blood drained from her face. The petition detailed her investigations into Kevin's finances, bank accounts, property holdings, and life insurance policies.
You accessed his financial records? That's the conversation he overheard about the insurance.
I was just evaluating his estate for the guardianship. It was responsible planning.
Kevin placed a heavy stack of printed emails and financial statements on the table. They landed with a soft thud.
These are your messages to the insurance company and the property appraiser. Every inquiry documented.
You went through my personal correspondence. That's an invasion of privacy and completely inadmissible.
You sent them from my home computer. My server logs are legally obtained evidence.
You told me the petition was for his safety. You lied. You've been lying the whole time.
Mark's shoulders slumped. He couldn't look at his father or his wife. The betrayal was absolute.
Dad, were you really going to let us take everything? The house? The inheritance?
I had to protect myself. You gave me no alternative.
Kevin withdrew a new document from his worn leather folder, a revised last will and testament.
I've rewritten my will. All my assets go to Emma, my daughter. She is now my sole heir.
You can't do this. A new will won't hold up under a guardianship proceeding.
It's ironclad. Signed, witnessed, and notarized yesterday afternoon.
Emma? But Deborah told me she hated you, that she never wanted to speak to us again, that you were dead to her.
The lie Mark had built his life on crumbled. He'd been the one who cut her out, at Deborah's urging. Deborah's mask of confidence shattered. She sputtered, unable to form a coherent objection. Maria's quiet smile returned. She had seen this coming the moment she evaluated Kevin.
Mark lied to me, son. He told me Emma wanted nothing to do with us, and I believed him. After the stroke, I called her myself. We've been rebuilding in secret for months.
I told you that because she was angry at me. I was afraid you'd choose her.
This is emotional manipulation. You're only saying this to turn Mark against me.
Shut up, Deborah. Just shut up.
Kevin's voice trembled, but he pressed on. I lost years with my daughter because I trusted you. Deborah tried again, but Mark's hand clamped onto her wrist. For the first time, she was silent. Maria didn't speak. She simply watched, her presence a quiet confirmation of Kevin's words.
This dinner is over. Maria, would you like to join me for coffee?
He placed a business card on the table. You have 24 hours to withdraw the petition. Kevin scraped his chair back across the hardwood and rose to his full height. Dr. Maria stood beside him without a word. Deborah staggered to her feet, her chair clattering behind her. Her face was a mask of rage and disbelief.
You've just guaranteed a messy public fight, and you will lose.
I've already won. The evaluation proves my competence. The counter-petition will expose your scheme to the court.
He tapped the stack of documents, the cognitive report and the counter-petition lying side by side on the white cloth.
Kevin, it's time. Let's get that coffee.
Kevin helped Maria into her light coat, his movements calm and unhurried, as if she were the only person in the room.
Dad, wait. I didn't know. Please, don't leave like this.
Kevin paused at the door. For a long moment, the silence was absolute. Then he pushed it open, and they stepped through. Outside, the car keys jingled as Kevin unlocked the door. The engine turned over, and they drove away without a backward glance. Mark flung open the front door and stepped out, but the sedan was already a block away, its engine murmur fading.
Where do you think you're going? He just disinherited you. You have nothing left.
He yanked his arm free without looking at her, the force of it staggering her backward.
I don't care about the money. She lied about Emma, about everything. I have to make this right.
Through the windshield of the departing car, Kevin's hands were steady on the wheel. Maria glanced back once, then turned away. The taillights glowed red, then disappeared around the curve. The street fell into a deep, empty silence. Mark stood frozen on the doorstep, the full weight of his betrayal pressing down. A single tear traced his jaw. Inside, Deborah slammed both fists onto the table, sending the silverware jumping. No one saw the outburst.
Emma was never the enemy. I chose Deborah over my own family, and I lost everyone.
She sank back into her chair, head in hands, surrounded by the scattered wreckage of Easter dinner. The city lights blurred as Kevin steered through the twilight. Maria broke the silence first, her voice gentle.
How are you feeling, Kevin? That was a lot back there.
Regretful, but also relieved. I should have confronted them months ago, but I needed the proof. Thank you for standing with me, Maria. I couldn't have done this alone.
You were always sharper than they gave you credit for. I just confirmed it on paper.
They drove in comfortable silence for a while, the tension of the dinner dissolving into the hum of the engine. Kevin reached for his phone on the dashboard mount. He dialed a number he had called more often in recent weeks than in years past.
Emma, it's Dad. We left the dinner. I'm on my way to you now.
Dad, I've been waiting. Please, just come.
Kevin's throat tightened. He ended the call and turned onto a familiar street. Emma's house was only moments away. Kevin pulled the sedan to the curb and killed the engine. Maria touched his arm and nodded toward the house. He stepped out alone. His foot found the front step. He raised his hand to knock but held it suspended, his breath forming a quiet cloud in the cold air. The door swung inward before his knuckles touched wood. Emma stood there, backlit by lamplight, a towel still in her hands. Tears already streaked her cheeks. Her lips parted, but no sound came, just a single, shuddering breath.
Dad.
She stepped forward and wrapped her arms around him. Kevin's own arms closed tight, strong despite everything, holding his daughter for the first time in years. Their hands found each other, his weathered and veined, hers young but trembling. The contact said what words could not.
I've missed you, Dad. Every single day.
I'm here. I'm not leaving again.
They held on in the doorway, the dark evening pressing behind them, the warm light of home pulling them finally inside. Emma guided Kevin to the kitchen table and poured 2 mugs of coffee. Her hands were steady now, the shock melting into something warmer.
They slid guardianship papers at me. Deborah claimed I was losing my mind after the stroke.
Mark was part of this? He actually signed?
Kevin drew the revised will from his jacket and laid it between them on the table. His name was crossed out as beneficiary for Mark.
You're my sole beneficiary now. Everything I have goes to you.
I never wanted your money, Dad. I just wanted you back in my life.
I know. It was never about the money. I let Mark keep us apart, and I'm sorry for every lost year.
We're together now. That's all that matters.
Later, Emma took an old photograph of Kevin holding her as a child and taped it to the center of her memory wall, a place reserved for family. They talked for hours, reclaiming the bridge that should never have been broken. 5 days after Easter, Kevin's lawyer called with the news he'd been waiting for. Mark and Deborah had withdrawn the guardianship petition. The court dismissed it with prejudice. The judge's gavel had sealed the case. Kevin was, and always had been, competent to manage his own life. The same morning, a formal complaint landed on Deborah's desk from the State Bar Association. Her paralegal certificate was under review. Any future-in-law had narrowed to a pinpoint. Mark had moved out the night after Easter. He rented a small apartment and filed for legal separation.
My son chose lies over his own family, but he is still my son.
Kevin met his lawyer to finalize the estate documents. The revised will was filed, the counter-petition archived. He watched the final signature dry. The ink was unchangeable, just like the years he could not get back. The legal war was over, but the deeper wound between father and son had only begun to scar. Weeks later, Deborah faced a preliminary bar hearing. The evidence was overwhelming. Her paralegal certification was suspended pending full review. Her reputation lay in ruins. Mark filed for divorce the same week. He moved into a studio apartment and began seeing a therapist. Then, a handwritten letter arrived at Kevin's door. Kevin unfolded the pages. "Dad, I am so sorry. I was a coward and I let Deborah poison me against you and Emma. I want a chance to explain if you'll hear me. I've filed for divorce. I'm starting over." Kevin read the letter twice, then picked up his phone.
Mark, I received your letter. We can talk. Saturday at the park.
The letter sat on his kitchen counter as he drove to the meeting. He arrived first, the bench weathered but familiar. He sat and waited. A shadow fell across the bench. Mark stood at the edge of the path, thinner than Kevin remembered, his hands shoved deep into his pockets.
Thanks for coming. I wasn't sure you would. I was weak, Dad. Deborah kept saying it was for your protection, and I didn't want to see what she really wanted. I've started seeing a therapist. I'm learning how much I let her rewrite my whole sense of family.
Kevin listened without interrupting, his face a carved stillness that held years of hurt and the first faint pulse of hope.
I don't expect you to forgive me. I just needed you to know that I see it now. All of it.
It will take time, but I'm willing to try if you are sincere.
Mark's eyes flooded. He couldn't speak, could only nod. Kevin extended his hand. Their fingers clasped, a tentative, fragile bridge across the chasm. No promise was made, no past erased. But in that grip, a possibility took root. Months passed, and a quiet rhythm returned. Kevin and Emma shared dinner every Thursday, the table crowded with stories instead of tension.
I never thought I'd have this again. Just a simple meal with you, Dad.
I'm crashing your Thursday club again. Hope there's coffee.
Kevin's cardiologist confirmed his heart was stronger than ever. He walked 3 miles each morning, the crisp air filling his lungs. He finalized a trust fund for Emma's daughters. Their college would be paid for, a gift born from clarity and love. Mark appeared at dinner once, then twice, always quiet, but present. The chair that had been empty was no longer avoided. The Bar Association concluded its investigation. Deborah was disbarred for attempted elder coercion and fraud. She avoided prison, but her legal career was over. The gavel struck. The case files were sealed. Kevin's name was cleared in every court that mattered.
I lost years, but I have today, and tomorrow looks clear.
In his garden, Kevin knelt in the soil, planting bulbs that would bloom the following spring. His hands were steady, his heart full. A year had turned. Kevin stood in his front yard, the same place he'd once fallen, now steady under his feet. Emma's minivan pulled up. 2 small feet hit the grass, and a shriek of Grandpa shattered the quiet.
How's my favorite girl?
They've been asking about you all week. I think we're going to need a bigger dinner table.
A little later, a second car stopped. Mark stepped out holding a worn photo album against his chest.
I found these in storage. Pictures from when we were all together. I thought we could look at them.
Kevin opened the album. A faded photo of himself, decades younger, holding an infant Mark in a fireman's hat.
This is our family, Dad, the real one. And we're not going anywhere.
Kevin looked around the room, Emma, the grandchildren, Mark sitting across from him, and felt the weight of the past year finally lift. It was never about the money. It was always about this. 5 years later, Kevin turned 73. His silver hair had thinned, but his mind was still diamond sharp. Every Saturday, he met Mark for coffee. The conversations were no longer about guilt, just small repairs, shared laughter. Deborah was a distant ghost, working as a legal secretary in a town 100 miles away. She never contacted them again. On a warm evening, he sat on his porch with a cup of tea and the family photo. Emma's girls hugging his knees, Mark standing behind him.
I proved them all wrong. I kept my life, my daughter, my son.
The evaluation from years ago still held true. His cognitive scores remained in the top tier for his age. He still gardened, he still walked, he still managed his own affairs. He traced a finger over the photo, over each face. The photograph from his memory wall, him and Emma as a child, sat on the side table. Kevin lived independently for another 15 years. It was never about the money. It was always about this. At 83, Kevin still kept his own house. A chessboard sat beside his chair, a game half finished, pieces poised in quiet strategy. On the mantel, a framed photograph of his grandchildren grinned, captured mid-laugh, their faces a promise that the future was secure. His fingers found a rook, moving it with the same steadiness that had once signed a will and filed a counterpetition. His mind had not dimmed.
That Easter dinner felt like another lifetime. But I still remember the sound of Maria's laugh.
The neuropsychiatric evaluation, once a weapon, now lay in a drawer, yellowed but still correct, a testament to foresight. He still walked each morning, still managed his own affairs. No one questioned his competence now. Mark visited on Sundays. They played chess and spoke little, the silence its own language of repair. Emma brought the whole brood every Wednesday. The house filled with noise, and he cherished every second. He lived independently for another 15 years. It was never about the money. It was always about this. And when he finally let go, it was on a spring morning, the garden outside his window blooming in full color, fade to black.